Sickos Club.
Sickos Club.
Hey, come here. You like pro wrestling? We got a little something for you. Two fans, 3,000 miles away. We each been watching for more than 30 years. Celebrating the art form, the action, the homoeroticism. We ain't rating matches. We ain't analyzing stories. We ain't experts. We just sit down, shut up, and mark out! What's up, everybody? It is Blade Daily coming at you with a very special edition of Sit Down, Shut Up, Mark Out. As always, I am joined by my co-host, my ace, Joshi G, the greatest Canadian pro wrestling podcaster in the history of Canadian pro wrestling podcasts. The best there was, the best there is, the best there ever will be. Said that backwards, whatever. Joshi, hello.
Hey, how are you doing, Blade?
I am doing very well. Very well, good. In fact. Very well. And we are joined by our good friend, the man that we have on every time we're predicting and previewing, the one and only Antione Raphael. Antoine, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. It is always a marvelous pleasure when I am on with my people.
Yes, it is. It is. It is a pleasure to have you, my friend. And as we have you, what a week it's been to build to this incredible all-in. For all the complaints I've ever had about the Death Riders or the pacing of that story or whatever, it looks like it's going to pay off in the right way. And I'm very excited to talk all about it. I'm very excited because I know you, Joshi, and you, Antoine, have your own opinions that are very different from mine about a few key things. And we're going to have a very fun discussion about all of that, representing a lot of different points of view about that. But first, Joshi, you got some stuff you want to drop on the people, so drop it.
Yes. So as you all know, my name is Joshi G, and obviously it's because I love Joshi wrestling and women's wrestling in general. But I just wanted to briefly talk about Suri versus Sherry from Conversion. So Stardom pay-per-view on June 21st, 2025. So I finally got to watch this match last weekend, and I kicked myself for waiting a couple of weeks to watch it because, oh my God, it was so perfect. So they had wrestled each other earlier this year, and it was a fantastic match. Ended in a draw. This one, however, did have a clear winner, and it was for the IWGP Women's title. So basically, just to give you a bit of background, Sherry had won the IWGP Women's title against Mayu Iwatani, and so she finally was going to defend it against Suri. So their match back in March was not for any title. So this time there was something at stake. So Sherry, in my opinion, and again, this is just my opinion, is the best female wrestler in the world right now. I love the way she wrestles. She makes wrestling look really real. And that takes a special kind of talent. She has an MMA background, and you could definitely tell when you watch her matches. She just hits so hard, amazing strikes, very intense. Absolutely love her matches. And Suri is also so terrific, intense as well, also has amazing strikes. So these two, their second match in 1 year, somehow this one was better than their match from March. And oh my God, like I could not look away. Like from the start to the end of this match, it's about a little bit over 30 minutes. It just pulls you in. You know, they're beating the crap out of each other. It really reminded me of an All Japan women's wrestling match. And that's just the thing with Sherry. I feel like whenever she wrestles, I'm watching a hard hitter from All Japan women's wrestling. And it makes me feel so happy inside. And I like to gloat about her a lot. She's very special to me. And yeah, so basically, Sari beat Sherry. And I was completely shocked because Sherry wasn't champion for very long. So at first, I thought, what the heck? Why did she have such a short title reign? I was a little bit upset, actually, and not because Sari isn't good. Of course, she's amazing. And I expected her to win the IWG belt, at some point, but I didn't expect it to happen so soon. So earlier this week, it was announced that Sherry is taking some time to recover, and she would also be on excursion in the United States. So Tony Khan, you better put Sherry in AEW and have her destroy your entire women's roster. I mean it, because she is on that other level. And this match, you have to watch it. And this is the kind of match, it can't just be a match that you're watching in the background. You have to pay very close attention to it. It's amazing from start to finish. These two are really good at countering each other's moves. And the intensity was just on another level. Dave Meltzer gave this match 5.25 stars. And in my opinion, it's the best women's match of the year so far. And I will say this about Sherry. So basically, when All Japan Women's Wrestling was still on, Manami Toyota had she was the woman with the most highest rated matches, over 5 stars. So in our modern era, it is now Sherry. This is the second actual women's match that's over 5 stars, and she absolutely deserves it. I love this woman so much. Please, 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 please watch this match. You won't regret it.
If I could add anything to that has not already been said, it's impossible. Joshi G covered it every single point. I know that there is a group of people out there who may not like Dave Meltzer. However, Dave Meltzer is a exceptional viewer of talent and of wrestling matches. And it's still a major big deal if you get a 5-star match from that guy. Someday there will be somebody who takes that crown and takes that over. But it's one of those matches that, as Joshi G said, cannot be in the background. You need to pay attention to. If you're always talking about the women are not physical enough, or if they do not get enough time, what can happen when they are and they get enough time? This is the match that you need to see. And for us, as in North Americans, to be able to get the pleasure of seeing her, all I can say and echo is the same thing. Tony, please be listening, because Shuri is one of the best wrestlers on the planet. And I think that with some of the recent Joshi inroads, particularly when it came to the WrestleMania WrestleCon weekend, Thekla was there, the success that Hazuki had. There is an appetite for more wrestling from these types of women that is at its peak. So she's making the right call, the right decision for her career. And I can't wait for those of you who have not seen her wrestle to watch her wrestle. And if you have not seen this match, please check it out.
Well, I can tell you, I have not seen this match. I did see their match in March, but I haven't seen this match, and you sold me. I am super stoked to check this out, and I will be doing that as soon as we're done taping this episode, folks. But yeah, make sure you check that out. The match took place on June 21st in Stardom, so make sure you go check that out because it sounds fucking badass. I agree with you, Antoine, as well, that WWE honestly is kind of positioned to own the Joshi stuff right now, and that's a real shame because they really shouldn't be trusted with this kind of thing. So Hopefully Tony Khan gets the message, but thank you both for sharing your thoughts on that. And we got a whole bunch more thoughts to share when we get back. But right now, my little 3'6" friend, Gerald, you know what to do. All right. Well, I guess we should tell the audience something. We're doing this episode a week ahead of time because next week, we're not going to air at our normal time. We are going to combine forces with the one and only Brett Michelle. We are doing the first co-branded Sit Down, Shut Up, and Hard Way review of these shows. But we got to tape it at a different time than we normally tape. So Sit Down, Shut Up will be out a little later than normal. We're previewing that weekend right now. So there will probably be a lot more announced between now and then. Can't comment on that because we don't know. But there's a lot to discuss as it is. And the first thing that we have to discuss the night before All In, folks, the Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor on Friday, July 11th in Arlington, Texas. We're going to preview and predict what we know so far. And we want to know what you think, too. So after you listen to this episode, go to the socials. Tell us how we're wrong. Tell us we got it all wrong. Tell us we got it all right. Whatever. I mean, whatever you're driven to do. But, Antoine, why don't we talk about the first match on the agenda here?
Well, the first match that is on the card is the Ring of Honor men's pure title match. Lee Moriarty versus Blue Panther. This was set up with a match that was in Arena Mexico, and Blue Panther did defeat Lee Moriarty. So, of course, he gets a title shot. I think this might be an under the radar type of match, mainly because of the profile of Lee Moriarty, who is one of the more underrated wrestlers, in my opinion, and he's part of Shane Taylor Promotions, an underrated faction. And he's going against one of the best luchadors that there are in CMLL, which is Blue Panther. And I think the dichotomy and difference between Moriarty and Panther is going to make this an excellent match. I'm really interested to see how Lee does on such a large scale stage. I don't think he's got enough of that amount of time to show, even though he's close to almost a year as the Ring of Honor men's pure champion. If I was to make a prediction on this match, I think it makes sense for it to end in a one-on-one 1-1 record, and Lee Moriarty does come out here the winner. I don't know how. I hope that it is very honorable, but I expect actually a really good match that is going to really warm up the crowd. So I expect this a little bit early in the card as well for Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor.
Yeah, I saw their match in Arena Mexico and frankly was floored at how good it was. Not that I didn't expect it to be good, just I cannot believe how good Blue Panther still is at his age. A guy who's in his mid to late 60s, I believe, who can really, really, really go. There's not like, you don't have to put old man goggles on and watch this through, well, he's so respected like you do with a lot of wrestlers in their 60s. Come on. His submission wrestling is incredible. Him versus Moriarty is incredible. There's a reason Blue Panther is Bryan Danielson's favorite luchador. And you're going to see what that's all about at Supercard of Honor. I agree with you. I think Lee's taken this one. I think he should take this one. I love that they put him over Nigel at the last big show. And I want to see Lee be more of a focus because, one, I personally think he's a super cool dude. He's on Blue Sky. If you don't follow Lee Moriarty there, do. This is not only like a great wrestler, but a great person who
Yes, he is.
really is about the right things. And I think this is going to be a great match. And I agree with you, Antoine. I think this is going to be a sleeper match.
I agree with both of you. I think Lee Moriarty is going to retain. And I agree. Blue Panther still looks terrific at his age. He wrestles very well. Their last match together was very good. I'm very excited for this one. And I agree with you about Lee Moriarty. He does seem like a really great guy, and he's a huge fan of Stardom and Joshi wrestling. So I have even more love for him. Like Moriarty and Garcia, two young Joshi wrestling fans. I just love it. So just throwing it out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Moriarty, when he came in, he was a big indie get, just like Daniel Garcia, just like Wheeler Yuta. They had established really good reputations for themselves on the indies. Lee deserves more focus. He should be the centerpiece of Shane Taylor Promotions. Shane Taylor Promotions should be on TV more.
Yes.
Period. Lee is fantastic. I love Lee. And, whatever he lacked as far as being like television ready or whatever, I feel like he's really made huge improvements on since he came to AEW. All right, next match that is official as of last night is the Sons of Texas will be defending the Ring of Honor tag titles versus the Infantry. Interesting match. The Infantry got here by defeating Top Flight last night on Ring of Honor television. I would love it if Sons of Texas dropped the titles, to be honest with you. I would love the Infantry to win these titles. I am a big Infantry guy. I like these guys a lot. I think they're hella entertaining. I think they're great wrestlers. And Sons of Texas just aren't doing it for me. I mean, they just do nothing for me. Like, I saw them live when I was, at Collision and Dynamite last week. They are very good wrestlers, obviously. Like, I've seen Sammy Guevara live. I've seen Dustin live. They were very entertaining in the arena. But as a pairing, I just don't get it. And I don't really see where this is going. I love the Infantry. I would love to see them win.
I agree with you, iBlade. I think the Infantry absolutely has to win. I think Sons of Texas are just not really doing much for a lot of people right now. And honestly, Sammy needs to turn heel. We don't want him as a babyface. So make him turn on Dustin already. Come on, get it over with. So I think the Infantry, they're very entertaining. And I love Shane Taylor Promotions. So please have them win. Please, Tony, make the right call here.
This is the type of titles and match where I go, who is this really benefiting the most? Who gets the most out of it? And I understand that Dustin and Sammy get something out of it for themselves, but that's not enough. That is not enough because the fans are the ones that really need to get something out of this. And I think the Sons of Texas, I understand that this pay-per-view is in Texas. They're the Sons of Texas, all of that wonderful, beautiful, wondrous things. And it's just not enough. The Ring of Honor tag team title scene needs a change. And I was actually, when watching that match last night, I just went, I don't care who wins. Just whoever wins, beat them. And that will make me happy. Just beat them. So I am 100% rooting for the Infantry. Shane Taylor Promotions. I think it is time for them to get their due. And maybe they can use this pay-per-view as a stepping stool to bigger, better, and brighter things.
100%. 100%.
All right. So the next match is for the ROH Women's World Title. So it's Texas's own Athena versus Thunder Rosa, who considers Texas her second home type of thing. So this one is very interesting. As much as I want Athena to drop the ROH title already, because I want to see her in AEW now, it's enough. It's enough. I don't see her losing in Texas, though. So I think Athena is going to retain. I do think it's going to be a very good match. I find it very astonishing that Thunder Rosa is still underrated today. I know that when she came back from her injury, she wasn't 100%. So in the ring, she wasn't at her highest level. But my goodness, the past few months, I'd say, this is like the Thunder Rosa from a few years ago. I've enjoyed all of her matches. Terrific wrestler. So although I'm ready for a change and I would love Rosa to beat Athena, I don't think it's happening. I don't think Athena is losing in Texas. And I do think Billy Starks is going to be the one to dethrone Athena. I think that's still going to be the case. I will say that their rivalry has been interesting. I mean, we had an 8-women's tag match on Collision a few weeks ago, and Athena pinned Thunder Rosa with Red Velvet's distraction. And then at ROH Global Awards, we had a tag match. So it was Red Velvet and Athena versus Persephone and Rosa. So basically, Persephone pinned Red Velvet. So Athena and Red Velvet lost that match. So it's been nice to, see them in AEW together as well. And I feel like AEW has done a good job at building their feud, which it's about freaking time. It's like, if you can build the male ROH champions on AEW television and build their rivalries, there's no excuse for not doing that for the women. They had not done that with Athena for far too long. So it's nice to see that finally. But yes, that's what I'm going with. I think it's going to be Athena retaining. Blade.
I agree with you. I think Athena will most likely retain. At this point, I don't think that passing the baton to Thunder and having her be the one to end this is probably the right call when she's already been the AEW Women's World Champion. It's unfortunate that they find themselves here because I think Athena's finding herself in that Jade Cargill territory where her unbeaten thing has gone on too long now and she's boxed in by it rather than boosted by it. I think it would be to her benefit to drop the title and just move the fuck on at this point. It's just unfortunate. I don't think her being the ROH Women's Champion really helps. This thing with Billy, I really don't get, because how many times have they main evented like a special ROH show now? 2, and Billy's lost both times. It's just, what's the point? And like, why are we so committed to that? And can we please start getting there sometime soon in the near goddamn future? So I would like Thunder to win, but I don't think she will. I don't think so.
I think you had a lot of interesting things to say. I'm really in agreement with Joshi, but one of the main things that you said that I like to key on is that she's in a spot like Jade Cargill. And I really felt when Jade was with AEW, she did get boxed into a corner because you had to keep the streak alive, but they kept certain individuals away from her. So Athena is kind of in that same space. And now you're finally taking one of the major names like Thunder Rosa. But who after that? And who after that? Are you willing to put in the ring with Athena while still waiting for Billy Starks to get to wherever she wants to get to so that she can be the champion? Because we all know that's where it's at or where they're going. I think this is an intriguing match. It is nice to actually have a build for the Ring of Honor Women's Championship match for once.
For sure. Yeah.
But if anything, it's in Texas. It's Athena's town. She needs to hold on to the title. Even if you want to take it away from her the very next month, that's perfectly fine in a rematch. But I would at least like to see this be the start of a rivalry of matches with Thunder Rosa, because I think she has no better dancing partner right now.
Absolutely. No, I think it's going to be a great match. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Joshi, I would actually say Thunder's been looking tip-top since late last year, really. When she had the feud with Mariah, all of her matches leading up to that were really, really good, too. And then that match was very good. So I think Thunder Rosa's been looking pretty strong for a while now. So it'll be interesting to see where this one goes. Another match that's pretty interesting to see where it goes is the men's ROH world title match. Tony Khan, you sick bastard. You put my son Bandito in a match with Konosuke Takeshita, the man that broke his wrist in kayfabe, that kept him out for 18 months. I mean, he did break his wrist in that match. Takeshita didn't break his wrist, but Takeshita beat him on a Rampage. Can you imagine that match happening on a Rampage now? They are wrestling for the ROH men's world title. Now, at any other time, if Takeshi's not leaving for the G1, I don't know where they go with this one. But Takeshi's leaving for the G1 right after this. I feel like Bandito evens up the series 1-1. Y'all know I'm a huge Bandito mark. I'm a huge Takeshita mark, too. I want a career-long rivalry between these guys. They're so different from each other in so many ways that it's very interesting. Bandito's small, way smaller. I saw them in the ring together live, and the difference is stark. They are very, very different sizes. However, they have extremely compatible styles. I love the interactions they've been having in the ring. I think Bandito's going to take this one. Antoine, what do you think?
Damn you, Tony. You threw us a curveball with this one. This was a really, really good curveball and a really fun type of match that I can't wait to see. I'm a big Bandito guy. It took me a while to get there. Probably one of the main things is how the heck does he keep that doggone handkerchief on his face the entire doggone match? And I'm just like, how? Bandito has one of the most perfect masks I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm sorry, it just annoys me so much. However, when it comes to actual wrestling, he's one of the most fun people to watch for me. And to go up against a style like Konosuke Takeshita, who is absolutely, I wouldn't want to meet him in a dark alley and get freaking elbowed in the face. And it's just not happening.
Hell no.
But in normal circumstances, I would say Konosuke Takeshita, except he's going to the G1. And I just don't think that they want to have the Ring of Honor world title held up for that much amount of time. So I really do believe Bandito is going to come out here with the win that's going to surprise everybody and truly cement him as the Ring of Honor world champion, potentially for the remainder of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's a great point.
Well, first off, Antoine, you're killing me with these comments about Bandito. His mask is so perfect, it annoys you. I don't know, that just killed me. It's like, damn, Bandito's perfect mask. He really does have a perfect mask.
I just want to take it off of him.
Yeah, I know. So I agree with both of you, considering that Takeshita is going to be in the G1 and it's coming up very, very soon. Bandito will definitely retain. I think these two are probably going to have match of the night. I'm super excited for it. I love both of these guys. So this is a hard one for me. you know, but like I'm happy with either one winning, but I have to go with Bandito here, and looking forward to their third match down the line.
Absolutely. No, I think this would be one of the biggest wins of Bandito's career were they to go that route. I think that he really hasn't been champion very long either. I think he beat Jericho at Dynasty, was it? So I don't think he's had a lot of high profile defenses. So I think he needs to take this one, but would love to see him do it again down the road.
And Bandito is super adorable. I have to add that.
I mean, yeah, he is freaking adorable. He's like such a sweetheart. Like he's just such a nice dude. So that's what we know for sure. That's what we got right now. But there's still a lot of possible matches.
Well, we, at this time of recording, exactly at 6:06 p.m., these are matches that haven't been announced, but could very well be.
I love that you gave the time, but not the day. 6:06 p.m. Eastern time on Friday.
Any day of the week.
Yes.
My Eastern
Friday.
buddy. Yes.
It's on Friday. Thank you so much.
July 4th.
And of the possible matches, we do have the Women's Pure Title tournament that is upcoming. They haven't really announced if there's actually going to be any matches on this pay-per-view. For the Women's Pure Title, I really would like to see if they would. But some of the participants that have been announced are Queen Aminata, Serena Deeb, Deonna Purrazzo. And I really cannot wait for this tournament to start. I thought they've done a really good job with the build. So over the next week, keep an eye out just to make sure if any matches get added. Nick Wayne versus Teton. That is something that likely will be added just based off of their recent interactions, particularly in Arena Mexico. I personally would love to see this match. I personally would love to see it in the reign of Nick Wayne, and that rhymes every time. However, I think Teton is one of those individuals who really could straddle both the American and the Mexican audiences and really broaden the Ring of Honor influence and audience. Also not announced is if Red Velvet's going to be defending the TV title. I really would like to see her defend it. She's actually been one of the more, outside of Athena, she's been one of the more active champions, whether it's in a proving ground match or a championship match. No matter what, she has been defending that title constantly. So it would be a disappointment if she was not on the pay-per-view to defend this title. So I really hope that they book her in a match for this show.
Antoine, maybe against Persephone, since Persephone pinned her in that tag match.
A fantastic rematch. I would be giddy for that type of match, especially with CMLL connection.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I just got to say, Red Velvet has improved so much.
Oh, yeah.
So much.
It is crazy. Like before she got the knee injury or whatever it was that kept her out for so long, like she was kind of she was super athletic, but she was like, I'll just do any crazy ass jump. I'll try anything. And she's really kind of gotten away from that and leaned in more to being like a fighter and a scientific wrestler who's willing to cheat, but she's kind of just better than a lot of people. I think Red Velvet is like amazing. Like I've really, really enjoyed this run for her, and it's great to see her finally getting some kind of spotlight. But honestly, it'd be kind of cool if Persephone won the TV title.
And real quick, Red Velvet is actually an excellent heel. I love her as a heel. I feel she's done such a great job acting like such a jerk in the ring. She never wants to shake her opponent's hands. She has such a bad attitude, but she makes it work. Like, she's killing it in promos as well. I've always loved Red Velvet. I always have. I never thought I'd see her as a heel. Like, I know she was one of Jade Cargill's baddies, but she didn't really talk as much. But now she's really leaned into that role, and I feel she's been excellent at it. So much love for Red Velvet.
She's great. She's fantastic. And then as it relates to Nick Wayne and Teton, we should add, I think, that on that same show where Blue Panther beat Lee Moriarty, Teton went to a 10-minute draw with Nick Wayne in a proving ground match. So they definitely have a title match at some point. I wonder if they haven't announced it yet because of Teton's, maybe they're still trying to figure out his availability for next Friday. But he's another one that I would love to see Teton with a title run for a little while. I think that would be awesome. I do think Nick Wayne will probably win if they do collide, just because it feels like Tony's really high on Nick Wayne looking strong right now. So we'll see. But also would love to see more going on with the women's pure title. It's been announced, they built it, but it's been like months. And can we please start this now, please?
Yeah, what the heck is going on? It's just like, I don't know, a signed talent against an unsigned talent. And it's been like this for like 3 months now.
I know.
And I'm just waiting for the tournament to start. And I'm just like, okay, it's July, guys. Are we starting or what?
I love the parody that they're, like, hey, we got 3 men's singles titles. We're going to have 3 women's singles titles. I love that. But can we actually fucking award a champion in that category?
Yeah.
All right. We could go on about Supercard alone all fucking day. It's going to be a lot of fun. I have never seen one of these ROH Tony Khan era super shows not deliver. They're always fun. This one has some really enticing matchups in it that I am stoked to see. I agree with Antoine. I think the low key one is going to be Moriarty and Blue Panther, but I think Bandito and Takeshita is going to be a fucking epic. Cannot wait, but it's time, friends, to move in to the discussion about AEW's new biggest event of the year, really. I mean, I don't think that's debatable anymore. We're going to be talking all about previewing and predicting All In when we come back.
All right, everyone. So it's time to discuss All In Texas, which takes place on July 12th, 2025 in Arlington, Texas. So we'll give you our predictions for the matches that have been announced so far and some possible matches. So, Antoine, I know you wanted to start with a match, so I'll let you give your prediction.
Yes. The first match we were going to start with is Adam Cole versus Kyle Fletcher for the TNT title. A little bit of background. This rivalry really started with the last pay-per-view and between the Don Callis family and Paragon. They have had some singles matches on Dynamite, which have been very good. Mm-hmm. And it's an undercover kind of fun type of match that you don't have to get too invested in, but just want it to end up being good. In my opinion, I think that Adam Cole has done an admirable, awesome job as TNT champion. To me, the main thing that he needed to do for himself was show that he could be on TV every week and stay away from the injuries. And Kyle Fletcher is a very physical wrestler. So that gives him somebody to work with who will push him beyond his limits. Mm-hmm. But I do believe that with the way Kyle Fletcher has been pushed, it is his time to hold some type of singles gold. Mm-hmm. And what better way than at All In, which is essentially, as my friends alluded to, it might as well be WrestleMania for All Elite Wrestling. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be Kyle Fletcher. Adam Cole is going home empty.
Absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree. It's Sicko-mania is what it is. It's Sicko-mania is All In. Yeah, I completely agree. I think Kyle needs to take this. Adam Cole doesn't need that belt. He never needed that belt. It's cool that he had it, but we got to be honest. The TNT title's been kind of on ice for almost a year now. It somehow during Jack Perry's last title reign, Jack Perry's only title reign, it just kind of didn't really go anywhere. And then he lost it to Garcia, which should have felt like a really big deal. And in the moment it did, but Garcia just never was given the booking he needed. It's not his fault at all. Cole having that belt has meant a lot, but Fletcher could benefit so much more from it. And that would probably be one of the biggest wins of Kyle Fletcher's career. He did beat Okada last year, so I can't say it's the biggest win of his career, but it would be very, very close. And I think if you want to restore some prestige to that title, Kyle Fletcher's your guy. Joshi?
Who's ready for Kyle Fletcher to become the TNT champion, baby? I'm going with Kyle Fletcher. I think, like Antoine said, Adam Cole has done a good job showing that he's injury free, and they could do something else with him. But I think it's time for someone who, I don't want to say that you can rely on that, but that it's in Kyle Fletcher's type of physical state to be the TNT champion. I think the TNT title needs to be defended regularly again. I miss that a lot. I can't believe that Adam Copeland was the last TNT champion to have open challenges. I would really like to see that again. And I'm hoping that Kyle Fletcher wins this and that he will have open challenges again, because I think he can do it. The guy is a machine. I always love watching him wrestle. Lots of love for Adam Cole, but it's time to put the belt on Kyle. He's just had an amazing, I'd say, year and a half. He beat Ospreay last year. I mean, you got to reward him at some point. He has gotten so good. He's so consistent. Reward our boy Kyle Fletcher. Oi, oi, oi.
Nice. Well done. Well done.
All right. So the next match is Swerve and Ospreay versus the Young Bucks. So I'm looking forward to this one. I think it's going to be a terrific match. The Young Bucks are awesome. I don't care what anybody says. Okay, they're still phenomenal in the ring, and of course, Swerve and Ospreay are two terrific singles wrestlers, and you put them together, you get magic. So basically, the stipulation is that if the Young Bucks lose, they are stripped from their EVP. They are stripped of their EVP titles. So, and what happens is that I will become an EVP. iBlade will become an EVP. Mm-hmm. Antoine and the rest of the world will become EVPs.
That's right.
So if Swerve and Ospreay lose, then they can't challenge for the World Heavyweight title for 1 year, which actually isn't that long. So this one, I'm a little bit conflicted about, because some AEW fans are, I don't know, worrying me a little bit, saying that Ospreay is going to turn heel. And personally, I don't want that to happen because Ospreay is so lovable and adorable. But now, I don't know, I feel like more and more people are saying it. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what if that happens? Is he going to turn on Swerve? Swerve doesn't completely trust him. But at the same time, right, like the way I see it is, I think, and we'll talk about this more later, but I think at All In, it will be the end of the Death Riders' reign of terror, so to speak. So I think anybody tied to them is also pretty much going to lose. So I think the Bucks, they've abused their EVP powers for a while now. So I don't see them winning. But man, these freaking fans have put this Ospreay turning heel idea in my head, which I hope doesn't happen. I don't think it will. I don't. So I'm saying Swerve and Ospreay win. Young Bucks will no longer be EVPs on TV. I will be your new EVP along with all the AEW fans out there. So Antoine, tell me what you think.
This one is a hard one to predict. I admit I had a bit of an issue with them putting the EVP titles on the line. We know they're EVPs in real life, which means that whatever they do on screen is obviously not going to be taken seriously if Swerve and Ospreay do. And it's kind of a hokey premise that kind of reminds me of certain other companies. And I'm just like, can you just let that go? And then this stipulation about not being able to challenge for a year for the men's world heavyweight championship came about. And I'm wondering if this is Tony's way of getting out of having to have Swerve or Ospreay be in the title picture, which would seemingly make it a little more smoother if a certain person wins, because they'll only be dealing with heels instead of dealing with the individuals that they have become, which is like the trio for the future. If I had to pick, I don't like the pick, but I would pick the Young Bucks. And Swerve and Ospreay will not be able to challenge for a year, which requires them to be very visible on the roster, just not in that particular title picture.
Wow. Okay. Antoine, you made some really, really good points there, dude. Okay. So last week, I was so sure it would be Swerve and Ospreay. And this is the brilliance of this stipulation, in my opinion. Okay. Because, yeah, of course, the on-screen EVP thing is kind of WWE-ish. It is. I mean, but I think American fans like that kind of shit. And so, they kind of fall into that sometimes. And the Bucks are the perfect dickheads for that gimmick, right? Where they're abusing their power, blah, 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 blah. And when Swerve said, I'm not going to put up with this for one more year, fuck that. He is kind of the voice of the fans, right? And the reason it really works with the Bucks is because people let the Bucks work them into thinking this is really who they are so easily. It's so hilarious to me that people don't understand that these are characters these guys are playing. And then this week, introducing this wrinkle into it, one, logically, it makes sense. Why would the Bucks accept this at all? Like, why would they accept anything where their titles are on the line if there's nothing in their favor if they win? Now, Antoine, I had the same thought you did. Maybe this would be a way to clear Swerve and Ospreay out of the mix for a while. Maybe even have them feud with each other for a while. In order, like they lose and Swerve's bitter and pissed at Ospreay for introducing this. But that's really not Tony Khan's style. Like, he does a lot of babyface versus babyface stuff. And even heel versus heel stuff. He's done it before. He'll do it again. I agree with Joshi. I do think they anybody tied into this Death Riders company-wide thing is losing it all in. And we'll get into one person that's not been tied into it. And I think that was very much intentional because I think he's winning, where at one point I didn't think so. Now, I have to think that Ospreay and Swerve are going to win, but I think they did a great job of making this a lot less predictable by introducing this stipulation. But I'm still going with the guys that I'm going to ride or die with. I don't think Tony Khan would cut his. I think there's an advantage to him if Hangman wins to not having Ospreay and Swerve be his automatic built-in opponents, right? Like you said, Antoine. But I also think Hangman's the guy for the foreseeable future. And I think him wrestling Swerve and Ospreay is something Tony would want to do. So we'll see. I'm going to pick Swerve and Ospreay. But Jesus, I mean, it really could go either way. It's kind of fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Another match that could go one of many ways is the men's casino gauntlet match. The only announced participants so far are MJF and Mark Briscoe. Now, these matches are very interesting to me because it's, I said it on the show recently, it's the anti-Rumble. You want to be number one. You don't want to be number 30, right? You want to be number one, not number 21, because if you're number 21, you may not even get in the match, right? But you do get a guaranteed world title shot. And so they're doing a men's and a women's this year. The men's, the only confirmed participants are MJF and Mark Briscoe. I liked how on Dynamite they actually built up some personal animosity between numbers 1 and 2 in the gauntlet. That's a pretty fun little wrinkle where once there had been none. So I liked that. But I think it really depends on who the other possible participants are. I think Takeshita's a high probability. Joshua Alexander. I don't know why I called him Joshua, so I put a little oomph on his name. Kota Ibushi could be in it. AR Fox, Bandito, Anthony Bowens, possibly a returning Jay White, Hologram, Mordos, maybe a returning Jack Perry, maybe Ricochet, right? He made his debut last year in a Casino Gauntlet match. He's got some new stablemates in the Gates of Agony. Outside of MJF or Briscoe, I think maybe the best pick to win would be Ricochet. What do you guys think?
I think there's a possibility that Juice Robinson will be in this match, and I really freaking hope so because I miss him so much. But also, one thing I'm a little bit concerned about is if Darby Allin is in this match and wins. Because then these fans are saying Darby's going to win the Casino Gauntlet and he's going to beat Moxley for the world title. It's like, I do not want that to happen. So if Darby somehow is in this match, I will be in a bit of a panic mode. Hopefully, if he is, like, please do not win Darby. But as for who the winner will be, I think it's going to be between MJF and Ricochet. Those are the two that I could see winning. I think that if Hangman becomes a world champion, he can continue his rivalry with MJF. And they've had interactions the past couple of months after that first match they had back at, when was it?
Revolution,
right? Yeah.
Great match.
I think, so it's like already you have that story. And then as for Ricochet, he's a heel, right? You want to build them up. Hangman Ricochet would be a really great match. So those are my two picks. I don't know which one I'd lean towards more. Maybe MJF because the Hangman story is already there, but those are the two that I can see winning. I can't really see anyone else winning. Not Darby.
You just made me feel like, well, he's definitely going to be in the match. I don't think there's any truth to Darby winning the world title from Jon Moxley. I just don't think that's true at all. Antoine?
No. I completely agree with one thing we've all said. No I love Darby. I love his moxie. I love his danger. That is, and I'll say it till the end of my days, that's my white boy. I love that guy so much.
I've never heard you say that before. That's hilarious.
Nobody crazier than Darby. I love it. However, to have Darby win would ruin everything else you could possibly do.
Yeah.
I really actually feel like we've named the between you and Joshi G, we've named the three people who we all think. Darby, Ricochet, or MJF. And I'm actually going to take the field. I think somebody else is going to win because they're so obvious.
Antoine.
Yes, I'm taking the field. If Toni is going to do any type of surprise, it should be here. It should be with the Casino Battle Royals. Do something outside of the box that nobody sees coming. So I don't know who's going to win, but I'm going to take the field.
I like it. I like it. I like throwing a wild card in there.
If you want to look sexy as fuck, go to sickosclub.com/merch and get you some.
Are you guys ready for the next match?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So the next match is the women's casino gauntlet match. And basically, so far, Chris Stylander is the only official entrant. Why didn't have a match this week for the second spot? I don't freaking know. I think, that would have been a great idea. We could have had the person in the first spot and the second spot badmouth each other and have a little rivalry. So that's unfortunate. As for possible participants, there's Willow, of course, Athena, Julia Hart, Sky Blue, Marina Shafir, Mina Shirakawa, Tekla, of course, my girl, Ty Mello, Anna Jay, Megan Bain, Penelope Ford, Queen Amanada, Thunder Rosa, Layla Gray, Diana. So I think that the women we've seen on television recently will definitely be in the gauntlet match. I would also personally add Riho and Yuka to this match. It would be really nice to get more Joshi presence. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that they'll be there. As for who's going to win this match, for me, there's two options. Either it's going to be Chris Stylander or it's going to be Athena. If Jamie Hayter comes back and wins the gauntlet match, we would get Jamie versus Toni, which would be really interesting. But the only thing is that I feel Jamie has unfinished business with Tekla first. So I don't know how likely that would be. So for now, I'm going with either Statlander or Athena.
This is almost a bigger wild card than the men's match, to be honest. And we probably know more of the participants of this match. And I actually quite like that. You know the participants, but you have absolutely no idea what direction they're going to go. I'm even believing the fact that this match will not tip the hand of who wins a very important match later on. It could be anybody, because both Toni and Mercedes are capable of really wrestling anybody, being heel, face, whatever you want them to do, they will do. So if this is difficult, if I had to pick, I want somebody to be completely out of the blue. But they've been there in front of you all along, which is why I'm going to pick Willow.
Okay. Good pick.
Because of she has been so high profile. She's been involved in so much of the Death Rider stuff and attacking Marina. I think if there's a time for her, it's now. And put it to the front of the line.
Yeah, I think that Willow is a strong possibility, a very strong possibility. I could even see her pinning Marina to win the match. You know, I think, again, this show is going to be about massive comeuppance for the Death Riders. So everywhere they can suffer, they should suffer. So I think Willow's a really good pick. I think Stat is still a very realistic possibility. Outside people, maybe Megan Bain. Though it does look like they are moving her into a tag team with Penelope after All In, which, fuck, I'll take it. I think there's also a chance that Stat and Willow are actually being driven into a tag team situation together, too. So I'm going to pick with my heart and say Mina Shirakawa. I think given the circumstances of this last Dynamite, her versus Toni is actually a very interesting match. Her versus Mercedes could also be a very interesting match. So we'll see. We'll see. But I think there's an outside chance that Mina Shirakawa could take this one.
Our next match that we would like to discuss is something I've been waiting for God knows how long. Kazuchika Okada versus Kenny Omega, Part 5. Not many series get to a Part 5 and are actually still any good, but I have no doubt that this is going to be absolutely fantastic. I've actually enjoyed the reverse build. It's almost like a King Kong versus Godzilla type of vibe where, in Japan, it was Godzilla, Kazuchika Okada, King Kong, Kenny Omega, and you got Godzilla wins at Japan. Maybe in the United States, it reverses. I thought the Don Callis aspect of this has actually taken away a little bit from it. It does give it a different dynamic because of Okada being a heel and doing heelish things. However, I really do hope that they keep that to a minimum in this match. For those who don't know, it would be, as of right now, it's 2-1-1 in favor of Omega. And it is with that in mind, of all things, I'm actually going to pick Kazuchika Okada to beat Kenny Omega. Sorry to my wonderful golden lovers out there, but I do believe Okada wins this match and becomes a unified champion because it leaves the door open for so many more possibilities, including a rematch against Kota Ibushi for said unified title.
Yeah, this is a really became a lot harder to call. So after the big angle with Don, I felt like it had to be Kenny. And if you look at the build, it's a very traditional heel babyface American, Okada's been a total dick. He's underhanded, he's cheating. He's aligned with Kenny's biggest enemy, and he even stole his friends at one point. But now I'm a little uncertain because it does feel like this entire show is about the Death Riders getting their comeuppance. It feels like baby faces are mostly going to win. And so because of that, it's made me start questioning this particular match because they even moved Okada away from the Elite. So he's not even touching anybody that's been touching this Death Riders thing. And I've almost felt like, is there a reason for that? Because if the Death Riders lose all their matches or they lose all their power, then you're going to have somebody to take their place. And who better than the Don Callis family, which is the very best it's ever been, and them as with some shiny new champions like Kyle Fletcher and Okada. So I'm going to do something very silly here. I'm going to pick Kazuchika Okada to take this one. Joshi?
It's a hard one. You both make very good points. It's just that this whole Kenny Omega, Don Callis rivalry has to end at some point. So I want to say Kenny Omega, so that way we could finally move on from Kenny and Don. I think this has been going on for a really long time now. But I also get what you both mean. It's, I think that there's so much more that they could do with Okada, and him being the champion would just open up so many possibilities for him. This is tough. It really is. You know what? I'm going to say it could go either way. I'd be happy with either result. I love both these men. But I think I need to stick to my gut. Sorry, Kenny. Shouldn't use that term. And
you can smell the diverticulitis.
Freaking Don Callis, man. So I'm going with Kenny Omega, but they've done a good job at making me question myself.
100%. 100%. I mean, that's what, like, Tony Khan this year, the biggest thing he's done that I've really noticed is, one, there's a direction for everything. It really feels that way.
Everything seems like it has to have a purpose.
Yeah, and then really confusing you about the outcomes of things to where I've walked into pay-per-views this year going like, I have no freaking idea. You know, I picked Osprey over Hangman. I picked so many things incorrectly, and you know what? So much of it I've been happy to be wrong about.
Yeah,
Kenny's the GOAT to me, so I want Kenny to win. In my heart, I want Kenny to win. It's been built like Kenny would win in an ordinary circumstance, but I'm just not sure. So I'm going to go with Okada. I think this is the big heel win of the show would be Okada winning. So we'll see.
It's
but
true.
I think they're going to have a banger.
Oh my
I think
God,
these two have both been selling a little bit. Like, you know, there's the people like, can Okada still go like he used to? It's like, dude, yeah, of course he can. The match with Kota this week was awesome. That was a Dynamite classic.
I don't know what these people are on. Okada is still an excellent wrestler. I don't get it. Just because he didn't sign with WWE doesn't mean you get to say he's not good all of a sudden. Yeah,
or that he's lazy or whatever.
Yeah,
I think he's just smart and he's saving his big stuff for his big moments, and I think Kenny is too.
Exactly.
For me, it's these two. In order to appreciate what's going to come, please, if you have 30 to 45 minutes out of your day, 4 times.
Or an hour and 15 minutes for the last one.
Yeah.
Please watch these matches in order to understand the level of talent and the level of chemistry that they have to understand what you're in for in about a week.
I agree with you, Antoine. There's a lot of historical importance. And I think you can't just, I mean, of course you can just tune in and watch this first match and say, oh, okay, this is the first Omega Okada match. But my goodness, I feel you'd be missing out on such an amazing rivalry. All 4 of their matches were excellent. And it would just give you an idea of why this is so huge and so significant and why we're going crazy for it. So absolutely, I agree with Antoine. Just make the time. Really, you're not going to regret it one bit.
There's no better in-ring rivalry in the history of pro wrestling, in my opinion. I think these matches are a huge reason that AEW even exists. If you go back and you talk to enough people, you will hear over and over and over again people say that this rivalry brought them back into pro wrestling, or kept them from leaving pro wrestling. Because WWE at the time was it was at its very worst, its dirt worst. And people were looking for other things to be excited about. And this rivalry, as far as just pure in-ring magnetism, you can't do any better. You know, older heads will talk about Flair Steamboat. This is the Flair Steamboat of this era. You know, it's so good. So highly, highly, highly recommended.
All right, so the next match we're just not going to talk about because it's too controversial. We're just going to the main event. All right. So, Tony Khan, why did you put us in this freaking situation? Yeah. You put us in a very, very tricky situation, and I kind of hate you for it. Okay, no, I don't, but it's just, damn it. So the next match is Mercedes Moné versus Toni Storm for the Women's World Title match. I don't even know what to say. I mean, listen, Mercedes has gotten the upper hand in this rivalry so far. Toni actually looks scared of Mercedes right now. On Dynamite, she had that stoic expression on her face. And Mercedes just keeps sneaking behind her, attacking her, throwing F-bombs. So I do think that Toni Storm is retaining at All In. Now, these are my personal feelings, and you know, everyone has their own opinion, and all opinions should be respected. So I just want to say, if it was me, and it's not, it's okay, Tony Khan is the booker, I would have had Mercedes drop the TBS belt. Because if she were to win at All In, I don't think she should be a double champion. Already, the women don't get enough time as it is. And they're not really, the other women, are not really fighting each other for anything. We don't have the tag titles yet. So, and already with this feud, Toni versus Mercedes, you've got the top female stars against each other, right? And this match at All In, TBS champion versus world champion. So if Mercedes were to win, it would be her matches moving forward until she drops one of the belts would be the double champion versus whoever. I don't think that's the healthiest in the women's division because of how limited their time was. If they had more time, I would be more open to it. But because, sorry, Tony, but we have to say it, because you're still giving us only one women's match on Dynamite, I don't think it's a good idea to have one person with both belts. What I would have done personally, I would have had Mercedes drop the belt. She could have dropped it to Mina Shirakawa on Dynamite. I think that would have been a really great call. And then she would have even been more motivated to win the world title. But I also understand, on the other hand, do you want Mercedes to be defeated, at all? Do you want her to already be defeated for that match at All In? Maybe not, right? Because we're talking streak versus, the women's world title. So this is a really freaking tricky one. Like I do like Toni Storm a lot. Excellent character, probably the best character in AEW. The only issue I have is that, she's a 4-time women's champion. I feel like she's ran through the division. To me, it's like Mercedes is a convincing threat right now. So I'm kind of thinking, well, if Mercedes loses to Toni, then what happens? Who's going to be big enough? Who's going to be convincing enough to dethrone Toni Storm? I don't know. Whereas with Mercedes, I could see Stylander beat her, right? Because Stylander, it's so the two matches that they had, Chris came close. Mercedes was very lucky to win, let's be honest. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, okay, we could get a third match and Chris would beat her. even if it's like for the world title, it's like Chris gets her win against Mercedes. Like that's stuck in my head type of thing. With Toni, she doesn't have that same kind of background with somebody right now. So that's why I'm like, man, but if she retains, who the hell is going to dethrone her that's convincing enough? Does she get a rematch? Do we get a rematch Toni Storm versus Megan Bayne and Megan Bayne beats her? Like you said earlier, iBlade, it looks like Megan Bayne is going to become part of the women's tag team division. So I don't know about that. It's so freaking tricky right now. And also, again, Jamie wants revenge on Toni Storm. Great. That would be awesome. She has unfinished business with Tekla, though. Does she come back as a heel? Does that make sense? So that's why, to me, Mercedes made more sense than Toni Storm. But because she's still the TBS champion, is it the healthiest decision for the women's division? Probably not. Either way, I think this is going to be a phenomenal match. I'm very excited for it. This rivalry has been really freaking good. Props to both women. They've done an excellent job. But yeah, like Toni really put me in a position where I've been breaking my head because I'm just there thinking like, man, you could have had Mercedes Chris. Chris finally beats Mercedes. You could, you know, honestly, if she were to win at All In, she's got to drop the TBS belt really soon. You can't have her with both belts long term, if that's even an option at this point. Because you can't put the women's division in that kind of position. This isn't Stardom where the woman gets so much freaking time. So that's where I'm at with it. I'm just thinking about the well-being of the entire women's division at the moment. iBlade?
You said it, sister. This is a really, really hard one to call. And I think there's an obvious direction that it's leading to. And I agree with you. I think it's towards Toni. But I think that about Kenny too. And I don't think that's like, I think Tony Khan's going to pull the rug out from under us on one of these matches and go, oh my God, he really did do that. And this might be the match. You could be right. Where I agree with you for the health of the division. It doesn't make sense to have the TBS champion and the world champion be the same. I would also say that I don't think it's a good idea to have Mercedes win the world title and vacate the TBS title. The whole point of belts is to win them and then lose them, right? Like, vacations suck. Like, if you're good enough to be the champion, you're good enough to drop the championship, you know? And if the point was to elevate the TBS title, you're not elevating it by having her vacate it. Even if she becomes the world champion, it still devalues the TBS title in my eyes. Okay. And I'm sure people will not agree with that, but that's just where I'm coming from. You have two women in this match as well. Now, Toni is a 4-time women's world champion, as Joshi said. She's the all-time most reigns of anybody. And that's absolutely fair. Like, it's time for other people. I agree. I also agree with Mercedes being the best shot to dethrone her. And I still think that's a possibility. But for the health of the women's division, Toni's also the best shot to dethrone Mercedes. And I think that's where we run into, like, how do they do this, right? How do they do this? And I think it's either this or the Omega Okada match where you're going to end up at the end of this going, oh my God, they really did do that. Like, oh my God, Okada really did beat Kenny. Or, oh my God, Mercedes is the double champ. My personal feeling about this, after being at live Collisions and Dynamites the last few weeks, seeing the absolute ravenous following that Toni has at this moment, Mercedes doesn't need to beat Toni, and Toni would benefit massively legacy-wise as a character by beating Mercedes, because Mercedes has something slightly more valuable than being the champion to give Toni, which is she's the best in the world. And if Toni beat her, it doesn't matter what happens next. Toni's made for life, right? But so is Mercedes. I mean, so it's just like, God damn it. Like, this could go so many different ways. I just don't want to see. Here's where you run into trouble with Mercedes winning. If she wins and vacates the TBS title, I hate that. I just hate that. I don't like that because Antoine and I, in our very spirited conversation about this on Wednesday, I said if Mercedes vacates, whoever wins the title is just the lady who couldn't beat Mercedes, you know? And while I can see the logic of going, yeah, but she's the women's world champion now. Like, I can see some of that. I just don't think you should vacate titles if you can help it. You shouldn't write it that way. Like, for an injury, that's one thing, but like for anything else, I just don't like that. The other thing is, I think that if Toni really wanted to book Mercedes as the world champion correctly, hear me out on this. She loses this match, then she drops all those other titles one way or another, and then she's still the one to beat Toni Storm down the road. It keeps Toni as champion for a lot longer than I think Joshi would like, right? Which I understand. At this point, look, if Toni loses, I understand. You know, she's been champion a lot for a long time. It is time to mix up the field. I agree with that. And I still think Mercedes should be the one to beat her. But if Mercedes drops all those other titles and she goes, but this is the title that means the most, it means more than all those other titles, you're saying something pretty big by saying that. You know what I mean? You're saying something really big about the women's world title in AEW. So my pick is Toni. I think it's the right pick for this situation, but I could be very, very wrong. Antoine, give it to me, brother.
I'm going to come with a different perspective using some of the same logic that I heard from my compatriots, which is absolutely sound, absolutely reasonable, and perfect. Those are all fantastic reasons why Toni should win, and business why Toni should win. But I want to key on one thing that Joshi G said, which was that if you really want to give chances to the women, what better way than for an absolute open wide tournament for the TBS championship, or having someone who wears the champion out so much that they take it from her. I don't think it's actually a bad thing for her to be double champ. We see it in sports like boxing, for instance. 2 weight divisions. They have to relinquish titles if they get injured, things like that. I'm just using that as not an apples to apples, but you know, it's just something close enough. I am a firm believer in Toni is a 4-time champion. And I almost feel like a lot of individuals are coming in as if she's the underdog. And it's like, no, she's not. She's been the champion for this damn long. It's time for something new, something fresh. If you were doing all of this and then you undercut Mercedes right at the finish line, it takes away so much from it. Even massive fans like me will just be like, okay, well, I don't know how long it's going to take for her to get back. Like the idea of her dropping every other title, I'm like, I was just thinking about that just in terms of travel distance, going, good God, that would take her the next 6 months just by travel alone to figure out a way. So Mercedes likely wouldn't be champion for the rest of the year.
Yeah, or until very late. Yeah.
Yeah, I really feel in order to recognize someone as the best in the world, as we all know Mercedes is, to not put the world title on her is disingenuous and defeats the purpose of bringing her in, because as Joshi said, she had some bang up matches with Chris. She had great matches with Scott Blue. She had great matches with Julia Hart, Willow, of course, Hazuki. I could go on and on. There are so many individuals. She has not even wrestled yet, unlike Toni, that there's a fresh amount of rivalries, and it doesn't hurt anybody for her to relinquish the title. And now you have a complete free for all, and you can just add whoever you want to a tournament. Ready-made star right there. Whoever wins that. Or whoever they decide to have beat Mercedes for the TBS title. I say all of this with the predication that Mercedes would drop or either relinquish the TBS title not too long after that show. So I am going to have to pick Mercedes. I have to. I want to. And I think there is I don't want to say there's no other conclusion that makes sense, but I believe that any other outcome other than Mercedes winning would be a bit of a letdown. And now you're trying to scramble to figure out how can you make this interesting for another few months.
Antoine, I do have a question for you though. So let's say Mercedes does win. And of course, I would love that outcome too. Believe me, I love Mercedes. And she's a double champion. Does that mean from now on, when she defends the titles, she's going to have 2 matches on her pay-per-view? Does that mean they're just going to be unified at some point, both belts? Does that mean that whenever Mercedes wrestles, both titles will be on the line? Like how would that work? You see, that's the part that I'm having some difficulty with.
I think you do it exactly. I'm trying to think of a decent comp, but you have her just like 2 weight classes. Sorry, you got to defend both titles separately.
If they do that, if they were to do that, I would be okay with it. But I wonder, at that point, because she has so many belts at this point, right? She's traveling the world defending these belts. Are you taking a huge risk here where you're over exhausting her?
If she was over exhausted, she'd already been there. That's kind of where I'm at with her having as many belts as she does have already. If she was exhausted, you already hit that point. So now you're asking her to have another title in the same company that she already works. Okay. That's okay. Which is also why I do put a lot of weight on dropping the belt right after she wins on the next Dynamite. You have to give the belt up.
Yeah.
That way you're not hamstringing the entire division.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that not putting the title on her at this show would be the biggest waste of momentum he has had for any wrestler he has brought into this company since it was born. It just makes sense. Don't overthink it. Just do it and worry about the impacts after.
Yeah, I think that in listening to you both, I think that there's, I think she has to vacate the title if she wins the world title. I don't even do the double champ thing. Because here's the thing, you don't want somebody beating her for the TBS title while she's still the women's world champion.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it either makes every TBS title defense super predictable, or like somebody who's not really qualified to be the world champion just beat your world champion for the TBS title. You know what I mean? So like if we're looking at the titles as tiered in that way, right? Like world title, TBS title. So in listening to you both, though, I went from like Toni has to win, given how they've built this, to being a lot less sure of that. So that's a really interesting perspective. And I think that there is something to be gained in either outcome. For me personally, I guess what I feel is there isn't a wrong choice as long as you have a direction. And I don't think Toni should be the champion for like 6 more months. You know what I mean? So like that part I completely understand. Like, and then who beats her? You know, like, I mean, that's the real rock solid bottom line. Who beats her if Mercedes doesn't? And I think that's the thing. So there's more for Toni to do if she doesn't win, because she has to beat Mercedes, but do you still want Toni chasing Mercedes, you know? So there's so many things to consider, but I think, Antoine, you said it best. Make a decision. Just don't overthink it and just roll with it. You know, don't worry about after too much.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially, as a booker, TK's kind of tied his own hands here. He's got to make a decision that could have some inherent flaws one way or the other.
He did this to himself.
Let's not forget 2 things. One, I think the winner of the women's gauntlet match will give us a better idea of who's winning the women's world title. 2, Mercedes, she was supposed to get a faction, right? Hasn't happened yet. Maybe they are saving that for All In. I don't know. Maybe that's when she starts her faction, the Renegade Twins help her out. I don't know. But considering that we heard these reports, like months ago, I think it was just a couple of months ago that Fightful reported this is in the works. And I think maybe Tony Khan has deliberately made us forget about it. It's possible. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yep.
Antoine, I see you're a little bit conflicted there. So.
Oh, no, I'm not conflicted. I actually love that because it had slipped my mind. Oh, yeah, the Renegade Twins. Oh, wow. That actually makes me even more intrigued by Mercedes winning.
Yep. I also think if Toni loses, you need to keep her away from the title for a good long time.
Agreed.
Whenever Toni drops this title, to whomever she drops this title, she should be out of the picture for a while. And she should go on a bit of a losing streak in AEW, not traveling the world, losing outside of AEW, lose in AEW. Put some people over. You know, I don't think Toni is booking herself to go over people. Like, Tony Khan is doing that, right? But Toni does need to look a little more human in her booking. I think, because that character is built to be flawed and be human. Mercedes has never had a problem doing a job. You know, it's not like I think any of that Mercedes Hogan bullshit. Like, fuck all that.
Oh, God.
I hate that disingenuous crap.
Yeah.
Mercedes Omega, like she said.
Mercedes Omega, like she said. I love that.
And let's all agree that Tony Khan has broken our brains a little bit with this match.
My God, he really has. He really has. Just a little bit.
Oh, my God. It's driving me insane. I'm going to need therapy.
I'm going to need therapy after this interview.
God.
Don't gaslight me.
Don't gaslight me.
But one match I think that we are all probably in agreement on the outcome of, and that really isn't that unpredictable by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, there's already been somebody in the match who's promised what the outcome will be, is the main event. This is a case where being predictable is a good thing, and you're relying on this outcome to sell pay-per-views. Hangman Page is going to take on Jon Moxley in a Texas death match in Arlington, and what looks to be close to 23,000 people now, for the AEW Men's World Heavyweight Championship. Hangman Page has guaranteed that he will win. Anyone who thinks that Darby Allin is somehow the one who's going to beat Jon Moxley, in my opinion, you're out of your goddamn mind, okay? I think there is no chance of that. That would be, in my opinion, suicidal. You cannot do that, Tony. Okay? Like, all this momentum and goodwill that AEW has right now that you've built towards, people were super upset about Swerve losing. Okay? If you want to see that reaction times 50, do it on the biggest show of the year. Okay? You don't want to see what would happen if Jon Moxley retains after this match. Okay? I saw somebody make the, opine that Moxley would beat Hangman.
What the hell?
And then Darby would have won the Casino Gauntlet earlier in the night and would cash in. That is a terrible idea. Okay? Terrible idea. Here's what I propose. Hangman and Moxley going toe-to-toe, mano-a-mano. There is a massive screw job in this match. It's going to come from all sides. This match will have nothing clean about it. That's why it's a Texas death match. It's going to be almost like the Finish the Story ending where there's just two competing factions and rivals. Okay, and I'm fine with it. I am totally fine with that because they're looking to get over a whole bunch of people at once here. Okay? You have the Death Riders and the Young Bucks who have seemingly cost everybody everything for 6 months, a year, bordering, 8 months, let's say. Then you have the Ops, Willow. I think Chris Statlander is actually going to play a big role somewhere in this match, and she's going to be a double agent who is actually not joining the Death Riders. This will lead to her and Willow becoming a tag team and becoming the first tag team champions. Just my opinion. We'll see. Chris is going to be involved in this. I think you got Swerve and Ospreay will be involved in this. Swerve is going to help Hanger, I think. And this match ends with Hangman on everybody's shoulders. Darby will be the last person to get involved and tip the match for Hangman. I really think that's how it's going to go. Darby will not be seen before that moment. He's going to fall from the rafters and do something to Mox. I think Mox and Darby are going to have a thing after All In, but Mox won't be the champion anymore. And he'll probably put Darby over. Probably clean, because I think Mox loves Darby and wants to put him over. But Hanger has to become the world champion at this show. There's no other decision to make here. Like, this is a match where I feel like there is one very obvious wrong decision to make, and that's for Hangman to lose.
I'm going to have to echo that sentiment. Specifically, any other decision, any other outcome, any other anything other than Adam Page winning will be a letdown to everyone in attendance, watching at home. You're really getting a lot of positive buzz despite the haters out there about the fact that you're sold out. Ratings are up. Everything. Those things that marks pay attention to, that they try to use against you, they can't use against you right now. And if you do the wrong thing, you give them nothing but fuel for the fire. It has to be Hangman. You don't do the babyface saying, I'm going to be the champion and this, that, and the other, unless they really are going to be the champion. It almost reminds me of when, I always go back to it for different reasons, but when Triple H wrestled Booker T, when everybody knew what the outcome should have been, and they did not do it, and it actually backfired in their face for God knows how long. So
I'm still pissed.
I think I'm still pissed. I'm sorry. I will never get over that. Sorry, Paul.
I was in attendance that night, and
oh my God, you were there?
I was there. And like, there was so much cool shit still to come, but that whole night I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. They put the racist over Booker? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you really want that type, not even as close to that, but do you want that type of negativity to come off of your pay-per-view? That stink. It just wouldn't make any sense. I don't care how many people get involved. It has to be Mr. Hangman because he opens up so many different challengers, whether you're a heel or a face. I know with my earlier prediction, that pretty much left out Swerve and Ospreay. But goodness gracious, you got so many to pick from, including Darby, if you so are well inclined. I think it's time for a new leaf to be turned over in this company. A new time. I think Moxley has done an absolute damn admirable job as champion. When like late last year, it was like going into this year, it just seemed to be, all right, enough's enough. And then all of a sudden they got their second win and it's better than ever. But there's no, it's Hangman. It has to be Hangman. It better be him.
Joshi.
There's no other choice. I cannot accept another outcome. If they do something stupid like that, I will probably not watch Dynamite Live. I will be so pissed off.
Yeah.
And I will rely on all of you to tell me how Dynamite was because I just wouldn't be able to tune in. I'd be furious. And my goodness, man, like Hangman Adam Page, the past couple of years, he has went through hell. This is his redemption story.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just make him lose. You would have done all of this for what? He went through, the whole Swerve feud, and he's finally feeling like himself again. Like 2019 Hangman. He even said himself, 2025 AEW feels like 2019. We were all over the moon over Hangman Adam Page in 2019. Mm-hmm. Give us Hangman as champion in 2025. In late 2021, 2022, you guys, AEW, You guys messed it up, man. And we were all excited. You screwed it up. You owe it to us. What the hell did Darby Allin do? Fall off a fucking skateboard? I mean, no way. No freaking way does he deserve to cash in a win, like a freaking win in the gauntlet match and beat Jon Moxley. Absolutely not. Hell no. Hangman Adam Page has been there ever since the Death Rider story started. Darby Allin could have beaten Moxley. And you know what? I would have been convinced if he came back months ago. He decided to climb Mount Everest. Okay? And that's fine. Like, do whatever the hell you want with your time. He has not been involved. Hell no to any other outcome. Okay? It's got to be Hangman Adam Page. I was pissed off when Moxley beat Swerve. I wanted Swerve to beat Moxley. And I ended up getting over it because they freaking had Hangman be the challenger. Do not piss on Hangman Adam Page like that. I will not forgive Tony for that. In 2022, I was not happy that Hangman had such a shitty title reign. Okay, after that amazing story with Kenny Omega, they messed up his title reign. You have to make it up to us, man. No other outcome. Tony, if you want a freaking angry letter, by all means, do something stupid and have us not tune in for a few months. Freaking watch your ratings drop, man. People want Hangman Adam Page. Even CMLL wants Hangman Adam Page. He spoke Spanish, a 10-minute promo in Spanish. Everybody's praising the guy. Like Swerve and Ospreay said, he is the guy. He is the main character of AEW. Darby is not, okay? Like you both said, we can have Darby versus Moxley after All In. It doesn't need to be a title match. They could do whatever the hell they want, but do not screw over my Hangman after I had to sit through this Death Rider story for almost a year. The first half of it was not good. You made my boy Swerve lose. You screw over Hangman, you're going to have a very pissed off Italian.
You do not want that, Tony. Did you hear this, Tony? Like, she's speaking for all of us. Okay, Joshi is the voice of the sickos. All right, so do not fuck this up, buddy. I completely agree with that, Joshi. Completely agree. Also, Hangman has done some low-key things that not everybody's picked up on, but a lot of people have, where the shirt he wore on this last Dynamite was the same shirt he wore when he put his middle finger in CM Punk's face. It's the same shirt he wore the last time he was defending AEW, right?
It's true.
Now, you could say he lost that match to Punk, but I would also say that's signaling the redemption of Adam Page. This man doesn't do anything by mistake. Adam Page has a case to make for the greatest of this moment in this era. He, Swerve, Ospreay, they all have cases to make, okay? But you need to give this man the title reign he deserves. You need to give the AEW fan base the title, the face of the company they want. You're never going to have a Hulk Hogan in AEW, and I love that, okay? But the closest you could maybe come is Hangman Page, all right? And I'm only talking about Hulk Hogan, not the man, the superstar. But this is your biggest show of the year. There's no way the only way you could fuck this up is by not having Hangman win. Darby can still play a big role, get a big babyface pop, be a savior, still do all of that. Maybe him and Sting come out together or something, you know?
Yeah.
But like, and I think Danielson might even be involved in the finish, you know? But there is no other decision besides Hangman Page holding that belt over his head, closing out the night, and the crowd going absolutely batshit crazy. It's going to be awesome.
Overbook it all you want to.
Yeah.
Have as many people come out.
Yeah.
This is the moment and the time where we all expect that to happen. However, let all that lead to one Virginian. As a fellow Virginian, I gotta give my man some props. Only one person's hand needs to be raised, and that's Hangman's.
Absolutely.
And one last thing, okay? I'm sure Tony Khan has noticed this. the more you feature Hangman Adam Page on television, the more women tune in. He is a chick magnet. Why would you not want him to be your world champion? He is. That's what I see the faces that you're making. But somehow, whenever Hangman is on television, the women tune in. It's
true. That's a big part of why the ratings have gone up is the female demographic is tuning in a bigger way. It's kind of crazy. Antoine, you want to talk about some possible things that aren't booked yet?
Some of the things we haven't heard anything about are the Hurt Syndicate actually going to defend their titles. They've had a really interesting feud or beginnings of a feud, one might say, with Jet Speed, Kevin Knight, and Speedball Mike Bailey. I would be very interested to see where that goes. Is it going to be the patriarchy? Is it going to be FTR? It just doesn't seem to make sense to not have the tag team titles on the show. So I'm interested to see what happens on Dynamite upcoming this week on how they get Hurt Syndicate and FTR at the very least on the show. Big returns. Who on earth could we possibly see? You got Darby Allin. You got Miss Baker, who's been in the news. Jamie Hayter, who's still recovering from injury. Nyla Rose. Sheeta, who is becoming a little more visible and spending a lot more time on her social media in her wrestling gear. Jack Perry, even Sting, Bryan Danielson, who was at the Ring of Honor show just the other week. I think with the biggest show of the year, we're going to get at least one of those potential debuts and at least one big return. I wouldn't be surprised if they give the Hurt Syndicate the pay-per-view all.
That'd be interesting. You got to save something for after the show. I mean, going back real quick to Mercedes and Toni, they made the biggest women's match you can possibly make for this show.
Absolutely.
It's hard to imagine either world, really. I mean, it did break our brains.
Yep. My head hurts from this match.
My head hurts too. Well, this has been an action-packed, super-packed episode because we're going to be gone for about 10 days. Then the day after, all in, we're going to record a recap. And on Monday, it'll be out. So, everybody, I want to thank my homie Antoine, my homie Joshi G. Till next time, I'm Blade Daly.
I'm Joshi G.
I'm Antione Raphael.
Adios.
Pro wrestling forever.
Sickos Club.